Okay, I'm Edwin Rutsch, Director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy, and today I'm here with Jeffery Perrine. Thanks for joining me for a bit of a chat and dialogue.
No problem. Thank you for the invite.
So first I want to thank you for inviting me to your rally, it's the Family Faith Freedom rally in Sacramento, July 20th at the Sacramento State Capitol. And you invited myself and the Empathy Tent, so we do want to attend. So thanks for that invitation.
No problem. Thank you for accepting.
So I don't know how you actually found out about us, but the Empathy Tent. We've gone to different political rallies, like here in Berkeley. We've been in LA, been to several in Sacramento, and it's between when the right wing and the left get together and there's these conflicts happen, and the Empathy Tent, we're here to listen to both sides and try to get the sides to dialogue and support constructive dialogue between the sides. So I was just curious, how did you find out, or how did you end up sending an invite to your event to us?
Well, I've seen you at a few different events that I've attended. Like you were at the event in November in Sacramento that I was a part of with Turn California Red. You've been around a few different events with like Lindsey Grathwall. I've seen you in Berkeley when I was down there with Will Johnson or Ben Bergwam. You're usually in the mix, so I see you doing your thing, and you've always been rather peaceful. I like your idea, your whole movement. I like the idea of understanding and putting yourself in a place of empathy. I'm not always the best at it, so it's nice to see somebody that's out there doing it like you're supposed to. And I'm trying to promote that. Again, this idea that I'm not for hearing other sides, or that I don't support I don't even think I'm a right winger. When I hear right versus left, I only got thrown into the right because of the fact that the right's the only side that'll let me speak,
Mm-hmm.
But again, just seeing you around, so that's kind of what it was,
Oh, great. Yeah, well, good, because that's what we've been trying to be, public, kind of be out there. And we do try to reach out to Antifa, too, and to the left. I've come from, I've been on the left. I vote Democratic, and I grew up as a conservative in Sacramento, actually, where you're from, sort of moved to the left. I've sort of now moved to the empathic side. Really, it's like, I'm not really seeing myself so left and right anymore. That we live in sort of a country that's sort of like a dysfunctional family. And
Agreed.
And we need to listen to the different sides and bring the sides together, just like a dysfunctional family. The family members are in conflict. Somebody needs to do the listening to the sides, and then try to have some tools to bring the sides together. So that's really, kind of our intention, and to model that.
Lots of good model to have, it's a good idea.
Yeah. So, so I just, if, I'll be posting this, and if any Antifa or, people on the far left see this, I would love to, talk with you as well, and to listen to you and have dialogues. And I hope that, from this initial dialogue, that we can maybe bring in some people from the left, and, have some what we call empathy circles. So we do these kind of structured dialogues that are sort of a practice that's used in mediation. And so we invite, all sides to come together and use these empathy circle practice, which we facilitate. And we actually hold these empathy circles online on a regular basis. Every Saturday, 10 a.m., we have an empathy circle. We bring in people from the left and the right are welcome to come. We've talked about issues like, pro-life, pro-choice, a lot of other, contentious topics. So just just want to be clear that we're here to listen to all sides. And I'm really, appreciative that you've reached out, and I really, think that's great. And I'm also hearing that you're saying that you're open for dialogue as well.
Oh, that's the whole reason why I got involved in this. I think what I've noticed, though, the biggest problem I'm facing is when it comes down to brass tacks, I don't ever get a dialogue from the left. I get a lot of emotions and anger and directed violence. So it's kind of difficult to have a discussion with somebody that wants to spit on you, or they're trying to steal your hat, or they're trying to, attack you. It's been difficult because when I do discuss things with people and I try to have that, I'm a communications major. I went to college and got a bachelor's degree in communication studies with a minor in business. So I majored in communication for a reason. I enjoy discourse. I like Aristotle and Cicero and all those great philosophers. And I love discourse. I love to have argumentation with somebody that can support their side with factual data. I mean, if I was to sit down with somebody from the other side, I would be completely willing to do what I'm doing with you right now,
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, so what I'm hearing is you're totally open to dialogue and you enjoy dialogue and you've got a background in communication. So that's really something that's valuable to you. As well as what I'm hearing is that when you try to talk to Antifa, you get spit on, you get, shouted at, and just a lot of anger, and it's difficult to hold any kind of dialogue in that kind of a situation.
Right. I mean, every event that I show up to, they're trying to protest my events and shut my events down. And I don't shut their events down. I give them their right because I respect freedom of speech. There's actually things that a majority of the left doesn't even probably understand about me that I probably fall in line with a lot of the people in thoughts of certain subjects. So like vaccinations, I saw, for instance, Eric Frame, when he was running for Senate over here in Sacramento against Richard Pan, I was noticing that a lot of the people on the left were promoting Eric Frame. And I'm being attacked as this Nazi racist when I support Eric Frame and a lot of the things that he stood for. So it's like, it's really identity and ideological principles and values that we differ on. It's not that I'm a hater. We just don't see things the same or eye to eye. And it doesn't mean that I'm not understanding. I grew up poor. I grew up in a broken family. So there's a lot of things that I can relate to people with from all sides. And so for me, it's like very important to try to figure out what it is that makes them so angry at me,
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to keep trying to reach out to the other side, to all sides, and try to bring people together. Would you be willing to take part in an empathy circle? So I'll just explain how the empathy circle works. And I've done one with, for example, Joey Gibson. When he came to San Francisco, there was a real hubbub, a couple of years ago. And he was like right off the bat, I sent him an email, said, would you do an empathy circle? He said, sure. He didn't even know what it was, but he said he would do it. And it took a little bit of work, but we were able to get one of the leaders of the left-wing counter rallies to take part. And we did hold this empathy circle dialogue online. And the practice is that one person speaks, and we have a group of maybe 3 or 4 people in the circle, and the one person speaks and they select who they're going to speak to, and that person, you can share a bit, and then the listener reflects back their understanding of what you say as the speaker until you feel heard. So you speak a bit, you pause, they reflect back. It's kind of basic active listening, which you might have even had that practice in communication.
Right.
And then, until you feel heard as the speaker, and then you say some more and you get reflected back. And then it's after we have a time limit, like maybe 5 minutes or so, or until you feel heard, then it's the listener's turn to select someone into a circle to speak to, and that person reflects back. And we just go around the circle like that for, 2 hours. And we have a facilitator who just keeps everyone on track, to follow the basic rules. And then it really kind of helps with kind of tapping down some of that anger and so forth. Because you can be angry, you can be yourself. There's no politically correctness. You can say anything you want. You can even, judge people, tell them they're idiots. But if someone tells you you're an idiot, you just have to reflect back and say, well, I hear you say I'm an idiot. Is there more? but then they have to be able to take whatever you throw at them too and
Right.
reflect that back. So it's fair. Everybody gets fair. And usually after a while, you kind of get past all the name calling and you get to some real deeper, real conversation. So it's just a tool that kind of helps. So I guess, my question was if you'd be willing to take part in something like that.
Of course. Of course.
Cool.
I'm always open for that, especially if I know that there's not going to be violence involved. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
again, I usually go wherever I'm at alone. I'm not running in packs with people. Like I know that when I was with the Proud Boys, I'd be with a group of people at times, but a majority of that was just because we weren't safe going places and wearing a MAGA hat or whatever. It's not like we were out as a pack of people starting fights just because we were out there to be out there. We only rolled as a group to be safe. And now that I'm no longer really running around with the same pack of people, I just go by myself places and I represent myself, and I try to treat people as I want to be treated. I try to come from a place of understanding. I've tried to be doing that a lot more this year. Last year, 2018 was a different year. It was the first time I'd ever gotten involved in politics, and there was a lot of emotions. It was overwhelming. It's still overwhelming, to think about what's going on and just all these laws that are being passed, these bills and everything. It's a lot to process, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm being judged for what I did, I guess you could say, like my rookie year. I'm trying to come out and say I'm like a sophomore now, and I'm trying to, grow up a little bit. And people still think that I'm just this crazy lunatic, which isn't the case. I've always wanted to talk to people and see what it is that they have to say. And, if it takes having a mediator, that's fine. I've taken conflict resolution classes at college,
Oh, great. Then we'll try to set that up. So maybe we could move on to your event, Family, Faith, and Freedom. Do you want to say anything
Okay.
about that? What's intention
Well,
to that?
more or less, the Family, Faith, and Freedom event is for people of all faiths or people that are, a family of some sort. It doesn't mean that, if you're LGBT or anybody, you're not welcome. It's anybody with a family or someone that has any kind of a faith or believes in freedom. I didn't really want to call it unity because another one of my friends just did a unity event, and I didn't really want to piggyback on the name, especially since it's not very original. And I just thought I would provide people with the tools necessary to do things that maybe they don't know about. So there's things maybe like midwives or homeschooling or non-circumcision, just a lot more holistic. I'm a natural kind of guy. Like I like hiking and I like being in nature and I like holistic stuff. And I guess a combination of Eastern and Western philosophies is kind of where I fall in the middle. I'm not a religious Bible thumper. I do believe that there is something greater than me, but I don't really know what it is. But I want to provide people these tools and bring them all together for people of all denominations, all areas that want to show up and maybe figure out how to get a concealed carry weapons license or permit, show people how to can food, how to be prepared for if the power shuts off. I want to provide people with networking, maybe people that can provide information on how to set up 4 times when they get bad. So you have like a checklist of things that you would need, just a collective of things that people don't necessarily all know how to do, and then give everybody 5 to 7 minutes to on stage, tell them what their organization is, what it is they stand for. It's different than like the hoorah rallies. Like I don't want to call it a rally because it's not really a rally. I kind of want it to be more of like a bazaar that offers information, or like a co-op or coalition that is going to be sitting there with booths and tables, and people can go around and pick up literature and ask people questions, maybe have like referendums or recalls on things, or taxes, or anything that you find interesting. And that's the thing too, is like if there's something that you offer or you provide and you're in the Northern California area and you would like to provide some sort of resource to the community that you find valuable, you can reach out to me at the Prudent Patriot on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram and let me know. Message me. I'll consider it. I'm allotted 30 tables. So there's people that I have, like a woman that's going to offer detoxing juices, like blends for people that maybe want to go on a juice diet, who feel that they have like high toxicity, or you want to learn how to properly fast, or just things that you don't know about, you know what I'm saying? And midwives and stuff. So it's different than your normal type of event, you know?
Yeah, very different. It's did you ever see Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where everyone becomes a teacher? You know, the college is you are the teacher. You are
Right.
just sharing your own. It sounds like a bit like that. So
That's
it's
it.
very different from a typical political rally. So you said, is it like permitted on the Capitol grounds? You can have events like you just get a permit and
Yeah.
they let you do it. Oh, okay.
Super easy. That's the thing too, is like a lot of people thinks it, I mean, it's easy in terms of doing it if you stay on it and you're diligent and you have to check your emails and you have to be responsible adult. You reach out to the highway patrol. You basically have to write out like a syllabus or a breakdown, like an outline of what it is you're going to do. You have to include like the number of tables, the number of tents, setup time, what you plan on bringing, like water. You're not allowed to, there's rules you have to follow. So if your tents are there, they can't stake them into the grass. You have to use weights. You've got to do,
Sure.
there's basic rules. You can't sell stuff. That's kind of why I was thinking it would be good that you were there, because you offer a service that is something that is tangible and usable. You can see it, you can witness it, and you can participate in it. And that's what I want to offer to these people. I want them to see that there are midwife communities that will come to your house and help you deliver your children, so you don't have to go to the hospital and be reliant on the government to do everything. I want people to understand that there are better ways to eat. You can be self-sustainable, teach people how to garden and how to do things, just be more self-sufficient, right? Not so reliant on the government, which is just going in a direction that's not healthy anymore.
So, yeah, so you just have your own initiative. If you have your own initiative, anyone can come and share your skills. And
right.
Wow, that's right. Yeah, well, I'm excited about that. That's like great to offer empathy circle and empathic listening practice. It's something that I think is, I was just up in Sacramento yesterday, because some of my family lives there in Fair Oaks, and we were doing a family empathy circle. So, my brother, sister are Trump supporters. I'm not, but it's like the family. We all have different family members, right? And you love each other, and you want to get along together. And so, for family issues, people need support. We do a family empathy circle. So we spent actually almost 4.5 hours. We just sit in a circle and we do this empathic listening. And stuff comes up. There's always issues in families, like you didn't treat me right. You didn't treat me right. And so we do we do like every couple of months. We have a family empathy circle. So I think this is really good for families. Just whatever party you are, the families have issues within them. And plus, you kind of learn these skills. That if you learn these skills of just dialogue at home, it makes you more able out in public to talk with other people that maybe you're not so friends with. So
I agree, and that's something that a lot of people need to work on. It's funny that you said the dialogue where you repeat back to people is something that you teach. Like, that's one of the first rules in speech. Know your audience, proper certain rules, things, right? Like how to listen, and there's ethics and there's things. But a lot of people on the left, that's where I think we have a problem. Is I'll repeat back to them what they say when I reflect back, and they get angry. Because you'll start repeating back what it is that they're saying, and I'll be like, so what you're saying is, and they're like, well, no, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm like, well, that's what you just said. In other words, you were saying this. And they're like, well, no. Okay, then reflect back what it is that you're trying to say. And I have no problem being completely open and honest. I'm so transparent. People have a real problem, I guess, digesting me sometimes. It's a lot to deal with. I don't hold back. I'm, like I said, I don't have anything to worry about anymore. I don't lie about anything. So even my family, it's kind of, I feel you on that empathy stuff, because it's important to sit down with your family and break it down and repeat back to what you're hearing and take the time to do that with your family. That's important. That's good to know that you're doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's when everybody sort of agrees to the practice. Like, it's harder. I try to do the same thing out in public. Sometimes people get angry, and I kind of have to say, well, is it okay if I just reflect back what I'm understanding you say? So there's ways of kind of making people comfortable, with being sure that they feel heard and letting them know that's what I'm doing. But it's, in a family, we all agree. We start off, we light a candle, say we want to build a culture of empathy, which means we're here for mutual support, for deepening our caring for each other. And so and then this is the rules of how we're going to dialogue. And then, it just helps when everybody kind of has the same, agreement. And actually my brother is going to be starting to do empathy circles with his kids. So he's got 4 kids, and, they're just, 8, 10, 11. So he's going to be starting to teaching them how to do this practice. So anyway, yeah. So
very smart. My son today told me that the reason why he was acting out yesterday was because he was angry. And I said, you know what, son, I'm so proud of you for telling me that. I go, I may not agree with what you were doing because you were acting out, but the fact that you vocalized it and you told me that you were angry, we're making strides. Because I try to tell my son all the time, don't hold back what it is you're feeling, because you're going to dwell on it and you're going to get angry. It's better to get it off your chest now. And I was so proud of him because he's only 5, and I'm like, for a 5-year-old kid to tell me that at me. And I was like, I am so proud of you, son. You're so much further than I was at 5. It's amazing.
Yeah, you hold those emotions in and they blow up eventually, so it's better to have a way of expressing them. And it sounds like you just value that honesty and openness and transparency. It's kind of important to you.
Very much so.
Yeah. Well, the other thing was, I don't know how you are with time. Let me know if you need to go or anything.
I think I could probably go for anher 10 minutes or so.
Okay, cool. Well, here's the other thing I wanted to ask you about is, I had mentioned about John Cox, and Gavin Newsom. So I just gave you a real quick rundown. Before the election, I had run into Gavin Newsom at an event here. I asked him, if he would do an empathy circle. But I'm trying to get this empathy circle practice. It's like basic foundational skills, but we need. I think we just need to get everyone familiar with it to really spread the practice. And so I'd really like to get politicians to do empathy circles with each other to model it. Like, if they're doing it, then their followers will say, oh, if they can do it, we can do it. We can kind of bridge this divide that's kind of tearing the country apart and getting worse. So anyway, I asked him if he would do an empathy circle with John Cox, and he kind of flippantly said, John Cox has no empathy. And I said, well, what if he would do an empathy circle with you? Would you do it? And he says, oh, he won't do an empathy circle. And I said, well, I'll go check with him and find out if he would do it. Is that okay? I'll get back to you. So I actually did. I had trouble kind of getting through his campaign, but finally did, and it kind of went up the chain. But it was just like right before the election, and his campaign said he was willing to do it. But it was too late to pull it off before the election. I kind of dropped it. And then I went to the Republican convention there in Sacramento, and I ran into him, and I told him the story about this, and we chatted, and I asked him if he would do an empathy circle with Gavin Newsom. And he said, I think he said yes, and he gave me his card, gave me his phone number, and then I kind of held on to that, and then I went to a Democratic convention last month, and I ran into Gavin Newsom again. He was walking, and I reminded him about that. And I said, would you do an empathy circle with John Cox? And he said, at first he just ignored me. And I said, are you just going to ignore me? And he said, oh, I'm open to it. So he said he's open to it. So I'm just trying to get the two together. And my idea is if I just left a message on John Cox's machine. So I'm trying to get, see if will commit to take part. If he's willing to take part, I'm going to check with the Gavin Newsom, with his office, and see if we can do something like this online with them doing empathic listening with each other. So I just want to put it out there, that if Gavin Newsom will not do an empathy circle, I'm thinking of like doing like a demonstration on the Capitol steps, saying, why will you not take part in an empathy circle? You have said that empathy is a value of yours, and he said that. But you won't do an empathy circle. This is like hypocrisy. And I am willing to camp out on the Capitol steps until he follows through with it. I mean, do an occupation with the empathy pet. I'm not leaving until we have this empathy circle. But first I got to get the agreement of John Cox to totally confirm that he's on board. And I want 2 hours of them doing online, And then I just thought, if Gavin Newsom won't do it, I was going to reach out to, the right wing, connections that I have to say, hey, would you support this? Would you help bring Gavin Newsom to the table? Because I think it's really important that they demonstrate, they actually do empathic listening instead of just say, oh, I value it. I want to see real dialogue happen. So anyways, that's just an idea that I just wanted to throw out there, that I just wonder what you think about it, because I'm kind of like trying to get this organized.
I mean, it sounds absolutely wonderful to think about the fact that somebody from the position of Gavin Newsom and being so far left-leaning that he would be empathetic, because they have so much control. So, I mean, we have the presidency, but I don't really feel that here in California. I don't feel any of the Donald Trump effect here. There's none of it, right? So I don't feel that there's been any empathy whatsoever for the right or the conservative movement in this state at all. I mean, it's been a just bombardment of our rights being taken from us. I mean, you even look at the Gavin Newsom's first thing that he did was he gave undocumented people free health care, and then he immediately eliminated the death penalty. And I mean, and these were things that were bipartisan, people in California clearly voted. It was like 80%, 75% voted to make sure that we kept the death penalty. And Gavin Newsom just came in and just did what he wanted to do. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of things that he's done since he's taken over as governor where he didn't consider anybody at all in his governorship and what he was doing. So it would be nice to see Gavin considering maybe actually doing what it is he says that he does. Because like you said, actions speak louder than words, and just simply stating that you're an empathetic person, but never ever doing anything that shows it, it's kind of hard to believe you, and I believe that, yeah, he's probably coming from a place that's good within his own heart, his mind's eye. He thinks what it is he's doing is good, and that maybe he is being empathetic to like all the other groups, right? He's being empathetic to the minorities, the immigrants coming in from over the border, the DACA people, everybody else, the refugees. And he's maybe thought that maybe we've been too empathetic to the conservatives for too long already. So maybe he's over being empathetic. And it's like, I mean, he made a statement the other day, conservative values will be in the dustbin of California by 2024. That is not an empathetic statement whatsoever. There's zero regard for people who have traditional values that are Christian or straight, or just, I mean, a 1980s liberal doesn't even fit in California anymore. Like, you're not extreme enough. So I would love to see some form of empathy. It would be relieving, and it would maybe be, I guess I would hopeful. It would make you start to think maybe he's going to consider, but I don't know. I don't see what he would really have to be empathetic about. He's super powerful.
Yeah. So you have like kind of skeptics feeling that he's not really being empathic to the right, as well as you don't think that he would do like an empathy circle. That you, it sounds like you would like to see that happen, that he was listening to the right, but it sounds like you're maybe not so sure that he would. Or
Well, I mean, I even saw that reporter the other day that called him out on the PG&E money, right? The reporter was like, hey, you took hundreds of thousands of dollars from PG&E. They were just convicted of 6 federal felonies. And he was like, we're talking about this. And it's like, you know, but you would be bashing somebody else that did the same thing. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that he does that just makes me realize, like, he says one thing and does another. And it's exactly what he accuses us of doing. And so I guess it goes both directions. You know, even Donald isn't always empathetic of the left. You know, there's statements that he makes that are clearly right-leaning and zero consideration for the other side. But I mean, I guess it's a start. You know, I would be willing to do it. I don't have a problem with hoping and working towards that movement. There's no reason to not try. You know, but if you're not willing to try, you've just called it a loss. So I guess you never would see an empathy event occur if you didn't try. So I guess it's worth attempting.
Yeah, so I'm going to try. I'm trying to pull that together. So I just wanted to get kind of hear how you felt about it, and just it kind of helps me move the project along. It's basically, I don't want to judge either side, but I just figure if we bring them together, it would be like 2 hours for John Cox to be able to share his concerns and have them be clearly heard, and vice versa. Both sides get to equally share. That's what I'm about. It's like, you know, it's like you should be heard, you know, the other side should be heard, and we should have a container for holding that dialogue constructively. And I see that when that happens, and we've done mediations, like in LA, it was an impeach Trump rally. We had people from both sides. We had 6 pairs of people from the left and the right. Each one of them ended in hugs. I mean, I felt so good about that. The people hugged each other, and we got it on camera too. So that's what I'm about. It's like, can we get, when people understand and hear each other, you know, it's like it can end in connection, and that's, you know, what I'm trying to do. So I am really grateful for you, you know, reaching out, you know, and I'm going to be there, and I'm looking forward to, you know, talking with you some more at the event, and, you know, seeing how, if you're, you know, available to, you know, maybe do some online empathy circles with, you know, other folks. Like I've been after, you know, Chris, was it Ross? Yeah. After him, been talking to him a long time, come, and Lindsay, you know, come, let's do an empathy circle. So I keep reaching out because I'm trying to get, you know, everybody into one of these empathy circles. And so I'm really grateful to you for even doing this dialogue here too. So
no problem. I mean, there's lots of times I'm available, you know, I've got kids, so I am a little bit busy during the day, but I mean, if you give me advance notice and you have something set up, like maybe a week or 2 in advance, or even just a couple days, and you let me know, I could fit in an hour or 2 for an empathy event online and participate with someone from the other side, or just go through dialogue with you and show people how it's done. You know, I would do that.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again. I'll just, we'll be in touch then, and I'll see you in a week and a half at your event.
Cool. Thank you, Edwin. You have a wonderful day. Okay.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Bye-bye.